So last time we did a little review about regenerative medicine, what that field is, what the goals within that branch of medicine are. Today we want to go in a little bit deeper into how we go about achieving these goals. There's probably about 4 main techniques that we use within regenerative medicine in order to achieve these goals, and there's broad application throughout all of medicine and different treatments that we can do for these. You may have heard of the first technique, which is called prolotherapy. It's been around for a long time. The goal of prolotherapy is it's a treatment technique that stimulates inflammation to start a regenerative cascade, and that results in tightening and strengthening of tissues, whereby we can stop chronic injury or pain and facilitate healing. So when I said that this treatment technique has been around for a while, I meant a really, really long while. There's plenty of evidence to show that this was used clear back in the time of ancient Greece. In fact, one of the documented treatments was used by Hippocrates, who used fiery hot pokers to trigger the inflammation, and there's evidence that he used it to stabilize a dislocated shoulder. It kind of vanished from the literature and was not used much until in 1835, modern medicine stumbled across this treatment, and they adopted it to treat hernias, to strengthen up the abdominal wall and close tissues that were not otherwise closing. It did fairly well for a while there, and then modern surgery and anesthesia techniques came up and kind of made that obsolete. It fell out of favor and wasn't practiced very much from then until about 1937. In 1937, there's a fascinating story about a physician. His name was Earl Gedney. He was an osteopathic doctor. He was heading in to do a surgery. He got his thumb stuck in the surgical suite doors and tweaked it, somehow injured it. He had a lot of laxity, a lot of pain. He went to a lot of his colleagues around the area, a lot of the orthopedic doctors. Nobody really had a solution for him. They all said, sorry, you're not going to be able to use that thumb anymore. You can't operate anymore. And as it was one of his passions, he didn't want to just take that news laying down. So he kept looking, he kept studying. He stumbled across this technique of prolotherapy, and he thought, well, maybe this could help. He actually did it to himself, and he found out, hey, my thumb is better. It's not loose anymore, I've got strength, it doesn't hurt. And so he was super excited about this, published it. It kind of had a resurgence as it became more well known and publicized. And it began to be used much more broadly for orthopedic and musculoskeletal applications. So that kind of brings us up to today. It's still being used in much the same way, the same medications, the same techniques as clear back there in 1937, almost 100 years ago, 80, pretty close, 80 to 100 years ago. So the question is, how does it work? What does it do? Well, there's a lot of research out there, and we're starting to become a little bit more aware of what it does. Research in animal models has shown us that the prolotherapy, when applied around tendons, it triggers vascular proliferation. It also activates and triggers proliferation of a certain kind of cell called a fibroblast. Now, fibroblasts' main role is to secrete and promote collagen deposition. Collagen is the protein that is used to make tendon and ligaments and a lot of our connective tissues. So they found that by injecting or applying prolotherapy techniques into an injured tissue, we can have more collagen deposited. Not only that, but they've also found that the ligaments and tendons that had been injected were actually thicker and were able to bear more load following that injection, which is fascinating and argues strongly for the idea that it is actually regenerating tissue and making it stronger and better. So yeah, that makes great sense. It's all well and good in an animal model, but what about on humans? So there's a lot of evidence that has been done, a lot of research for years and years and decades at this point about what it can be done for humans. Some of them have been great, some of them haven't. The idea of getting a meta-analysis, a larger study that studies groups of studies that have similar characteristics, came around, and a few meta-analyses about prolotherapy and its use in humans have been done. One of them demonstrates that there is an improvement generally and is quoted at, overall, prolotherapy demonstrated significant beneficial effects in the treatment of knee osteoarthritis. So for knees, great, we know that works. Another study looked at other potential applications in humans, and it was shown that the use of prolotherapy supported the treatment of tendinopathies, knee and finger joint osteoarthritis, and also spinal and pelvic pain due to ligament dysfunction. So we're starting to learn more and more about the applications, and it's an exciting time because this is an ancient technique that still has a lot of benefit nowadays as we're beginning to understand how our body triggers its own healing and advances into improving the tissue. We may have a tool that can spur that along and advance that a little bit further than might just occur naturally. We're excited about that. So give us a call. We're excited to work with you, and there's some wonderful things that regenerative medicine can do to make your life better.